It's 12:01, and that means it's good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Bold Business. I'm David Grasso from GenFKD, a nonprofit dedicated to helping millennials understand money and entrepreneurship.
And I'm Lyndsay Christian. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to share your comments throughout the show via Facebook and Twitter. We want to hear from you. Participate in this conversation. So let's get started. David, what's happening?
And we actually do that. So like if you put in a good comment, we're going to include it in our show.
And we're going to shout you out.
So anyway, speaking of business news, nothing is more important to us millennials than high college tuition costs. So if you're interested in this, you might want to have the Blade visit your school. According to an op-ed from a very famous Indiana politician, his name is Mitch Daniels, aka the Blade. He's now in charge of America's most innovative university, and that's Purdue. And he's kept tuition there from rising. And he acquired Kaplan University and plans to expand its educational access online. Kaplan, of course, before it was bought, was a huge online presence in the university space. And now we have Purdue and Kaplan, and wham, they're together now. So, Lyndsay, I know a lot of millennials that complain about high tuition costs. Of course, they have the debt to show for it, as well as their degree, hopefully. What are your thoughts? Are they too high?
Of course they're too high. I mean, going to college is certainly not inexpensive or cheap. But I always encourage, I'm a adjunct professor at Montclair State University, and I always encourage my students, even now in their current, as they're matriculating through school, to apply for scholarships. There is a lot of free money out there to take advantage of. So it's just about tapping into those resources. But yeah, tuition's high. Yeah,
and I feel like I agree with Mitch Daniels. There are a lot of costs that can be reduced. If you look at the amount of money that's gone into higher ed, it hasn't really made its way into the classroom. A lot of it has been through administrators and unnecessary campus amenities. And I think that definitely needs to change. And I think Mitch Daniels is on the right track. If we are going to see a sustainable solution to college costs, we have to get tuition under control.
I completely agree with you there.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about shopping, one of our favorite things to do. Well, thanks to Amazon, shopping just got a lot easier. No lines, no checkout, just grab and go. Literally, it's that easy. Amazon, it's using its artificial intelligence technology to make shopping easier and quicker for its shoppers. According to CNN Business, Amazon opened its first pint-sized Amazon Ghost store designed to maximize its locations in spaces like office building lobbies and hospitals. It's a really neat concept. But David, when do you think Amazon will open a grab and go here in New York City?
Great concept. Really looking forward to it. Hate waiting in line for cashiers. It's a poorly kept secret that it's super glitchy right now.
Yeah,
the whole Amazon
in its infancy stage, but when it gets up and running and it's a robust system, I think it'll be really convenient. You literally go in, you grab a sandwich off the shelf, and you go, and it's all registered through all of these cameras. They're scanning, and your phone is.
I guess it's a great idea. I am definitely going to use it. I'm an Amazon enthusiast. The problem is, I think we're going to discover quickly, there's studies that show when you spend cash, you're more mindful of how much money you're spending. When you use credit cards, you're less mindful. And now let's add another layer to that, just grab and go. So I think this is going to cause some problems, especially with our own personal finances, when we're not mindful of the money that we're spending.
But if you're disciplined and you keep a track record of all of your expenditures.
Which is easy with this.
It is. With an app or your phone, I think it'll keep people on track. But just another convenience Amazon is adding to its already growing list of conveniences.
Yeah, and P.S. adding 20,000 jobs right here in New York. So really making a difference here in our area. So anyway, let's talk about Wall Street. It's not a secret, unless you've been living in a pineapple under the sea, you're probably aware that the stock market is way down. Are your parents, staying up late at night, worried about what's going to happen? Anyway, investors are hoping to avoid the first major annual decline for major stock indices since 2015. So it's been 3 years where, it was a sure bet. You put your money in, and it would go up and up and up. And now there's a lot of problems. They're evaluating the global growth outlook in the midst of trade tensions with China, which is where all the stuff on this desk comes from. And of course, they're hoping that maybe Santa will bring them a gift, and there'll be a rebound, and the S&P 500 will avoid finishing in the red for the year. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have a partial government shutdown, so I don't know if this gift is going to come in time for Christmas.
I don't think it will. I mean, just yesterday, the Dow dropped to 23,000 points. points,
Yeah.
which is the lowest it's been since last October. I don't know if there's any positive outlook here, David.
Interest rates are going up, trade tensions are increasing, and obviously, I mean, this is not political, but we have political problems, and it's very apparent whether you're from the left and the right, we can't agree on a budget. So these are things that weigh down on the real economy.
Absolutely. All right, let's transition to something a little more light in news.
No more doom and gloom. Let's talk about something fun.
If you're like me, you probably watched millions of these episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Seen every single one.
I memorize every line, too. Then you know about the infamous Carlton Dance. According to CNN, Fresh Prince star Alfonso Ribeiro is suing the popular video game Fortnite over the use of a dance that his character Carlton Banks popularized. Ribeiro said the company has unfairly profited from using his likeness and exploited his protected creative expression. So a clip from 2012 recently surfaced from TMZ with Ribeiro admitting he stole the dance, I just learned this, from Courtney Cox and Eddie Murphy. Let's take a look at this.
How did it originate? Was it just like one of your dances that you did when you were younger and you're like,
no, on the Fresh Prince, they basically had a script where it said, Carlton dances, and I went, all right, well, how would Carlton dance? And I said, you know what? I know exactly. I'm going to steal it. I stole it from Courtney Cox and Eddie Murphy.
Okay. It's like a combination of both of those?
It's a combo of all of that with a little bit of me mixed in.
Yeah. Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
is that actually how you dance?
Dancing in the Dark video.
Which one?
Springsteen.
Oh yeah.
When he brought Courtney Cox up on stage, she did that dance.
Dancing
in the dark. Okay,
Man,
now we know.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. So, David, do you think he has a case?
I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. Can you copyright? It's a not unusual dance. I mean, we all greatly enjoyed watching Carlton Banks do his very awkward dance. I feel like that really encapsulates my childhood and the wonderfulness of the 90s. Yeah. But whether or not someone can steal it as artistic license, I don't know. That's a question best left to very high-priced lawyers.
That's a legal expert for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, enough about that. We have a long lineup of guests, so no more Carlton Dance. We're going to talk about some other stuff now. So for those who are too busy for holiday shopping and in need of a last-minute Christmas gift, there's a lot of us, joining us on Skype is Matt Smith. He's Best Buy Blue Shirt expert. You might recognize them from the store. Matt is joining us to share his last-minute holiday shopping tips, tricks, and deals.
Welcome, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are so glad to chat with you because we want to know, how can we avoid these steep prices on last-minute gifts? Oh, my goodness.
Definitely. Yeah, so many people still have gifts that they need to get, but fear not, there are some ways you can save money and still cross all of those names off your list. So first things first, you're obviously going to want to make a list of who you're shopping for and write your budget down. Hold yourself to it. I think, a lot of us just want to get those names crossed off, and so we spend like crazy, but it doesn't have to be that way. And then the other thing I would recommend is obviously look for deals. Retailers are smart. We know that you guys want some good deals on stuff, so keep an eye out for those. And we have many great deals that you can find at Best Buy here as well.
So, Super Saturday, that's a thing. Yeah, the last Saturday before Christmas. Tell us more about that, Matt.
Definitely. So you said it exactly right. Super Saturday is the last Saturday before Christmas. It's when a lot of people wake up and go, oh, wait a second, I have all these people that I still need to get gifts for. So typically it's a very busy day, both online and in stores. A lot of people just trying to get their shopping taken care of as fast as they can. And I don't blame them.
Matt, it looks like you have some really cool gadgets in front of you. What are some of the season's most popular tech products? I see something pink in front of you, so my eye was catching that.
Yeah, you bet. So a lot of really great options here for people who need to do some last-minute shopping. What I think you saw is probably the Fujifilm Instax Mini 9 camera. Cute. This is super trendy, comes in a variety of colors. It's $60, and it's so much fun because it actually will instantly print out those photos. So it kind of brings back the nostalgia of those old Polaroid cameras, if you're familiar. So this is super fun. Definitely a great thing to have around the house for the holidays as you've got family and friends coming over to celebrate. But we have some other really great options here as well. I'm a big fan of listening to music. I think a lot of us are. Podcasts too. So these Power Beats headphones are really compact, deliver great sound quality. These are actually $100 off at Best Buy right now. So a really great last minute gift that you might want to pick up. And staying in that theme of listening to music, you know, portable Bluetooth speakers are another really easy go-to gift for a lot of last-minute shoppers. Again, you know, you can't go wrong. Everyone loves listening to music, right?
Is that an air fryer you have back there, Matt?
It is. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that you mentioned it. Air fryers have really blown up this year. So, you know, we all love to eat unhealthily, but what's great is that you get fried food, but it is healthier for you. It uses substantially less oil, and it also doesn't take very much time either. I think this thing can get you your fried goodies in like 30 minutes or something like that. So definitely something to consider if you have some foodies on your list.
Oof, I know that you're going to probably get that. You're a big foodie.
Yeah, I do eat too much. I'm the typical American male.
Me too.
Yeah. So how about shipping and online order deadlines, Matt? If we've forgotten and maybe something that we want isn't in the store, are we out of time?
No, not at all. There's still plenty of time to get all the items that you're looking for. While the free shipping deadlines have cut off at most retailers, including Best Buy, you can still take advantage of one-day shipping, which is going to cost a little bit extra, but it's still an option for you at this point if you absolutely do not want to go out to a store. Another option that you do have, which is kind of a hybrid between shopping online and in-store, is taking advantage of in-store pickup. Best Buy offers it for free, as do many other retailers. And what's great about that option is that you can shop for everything that you need, and then you can actually just pick it up in store at your convenience. With us, you can pick it up as late as 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve. That's when we're going to close our doors. So if you're a hardcore procrastinator, you could order at like 5 p.m. and get those gifts, hypothetically.
That's really last minute. Wow, if you wait until like the last hour. Matt, so after Christmas, I know there are a lot of great deals in stores. So tell us about maybe a couple, or offer a few post-Christmas gift tips. Like if you forgot, or maybe it's really last minute.
Is that even allowed?
Yeah,
Matt?
I think it is. I think you have a window of time to gift someone. If you forget if you don't have it for Tuesday.
Yeah. You know, at Best Buy and at most retailers, you're always going to be able to find a deal, right? It just depends on what that deal is going to be on. I can't say anything too specific about what we'll have going on after Christmas, but retailers, you know, we're smart. We know you guys want a good deal. So I would just recommend, you know, if you've got some gift cards you want to spend after the holiday, you want to go out and escape your family for a little bit and do some shopping, of course, check out the websites of your major retailers that you like, Best Buy included. You can see all of the deals that are going to be available to you. And then from there, you can just make a fun shopping day out of it.
So, let's talk about New Year's deals. So you can't talk about those yet, Matt? When do those roll out? Do you guys do it so that you announce it after Christmas? How does this whole announcement game work in retail?
Oh my gosh, great question. I honestly don't know the answer. I can only tell you that we do have deals just about every day of the year. Like I said, it just depends on what those deals are going to be on. But you can find great stuff, you know, from TVs to computers, smart home technology, which has been such a huge product trend over the past year. All of that and more, I'm sure you'll be able to find something for.
So how'd you become a blue shirt, Matt?
Well, it all starts with loving technology. You know, it's just so fun. It's constantly a changing field, and there are new gadgets coming out always. And I just always really love that. And when it comes to technology, there really is no better place to work than Best Buy. I get to help people find what they're looking for, but also get to see all of this cool stuff as soon as it's coming out. And it has been a great year for tech, too. So many neat gadgets have come out.
Tell me about that Fitbit Versa before we leave you. I want to know about that.
Okay.
Were you curious too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. So the Fitbit Versa is new from Fitbit in the past year. It, first of all, has a really beautiful design. So Fitbit allows you to now change out those watch bands so that you get something really trendy no matter what outfit you have, whether you're going to the gym or you're going out to dinner with friends or a date night. But the Fitbit Versa, of course, tracks your steps, but it also tracks things like your heart rate, and it connects to your smartphone too. So if you like to get messages and check you can get those right on the screen. So it's really nifty. You don't always have to
wearing one. I just noticed he's wearing one.
Yeah, I mean, Fitbit Versa is so great. And really a good display, too, and durable as well. I know if you're like me, you're constantly moving around. I am bumping into stuff constantly. So it's really, really a great option for somebody who's on the go but wants something that's really just aesthetically pleasing.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. It looks like we have gift ideas for almost everyone on our list.
Absolutely.
From mom to friends to girlfriends, spouses.
Thanks again. Merry Christmas, Matt.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. All right, we hope you've been on your, speaking of holidays, we hope you've been on your best behavior during this holiday holiday office party season. Our next guest, Marjorie Mesidor, partner at Phillips and Associates, is here to share her do's and don'ts for holiday parties for employees and employers.
Hey, Marjorie. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing?
Very well, thank you.
So let's not just talk about Christmas parties. Let's talk about office parties.
In general,
this is something we're coerced into, you know. And it's just, it happens to be during the holiday season that there's a lot of them.
Right.
But how do we govern ourselves appropriately at these events?
Well, for employees, the first thing that you definitely want to keep in mind is you are still at work. Even though alcohol may be flowing and everybody's wearing an ugly Christmas sweater, it doesn't mean that this is the appropriate time for you to act out of character as you would in the office. So you definitely want to limit the drinking. Even though that a lot of office parties have open bar, you want to resist the urge to take advantage of that open bar. You know the old college adage, babysit your drink? I think that is a great rule for the holiday party scene, is to get your one drink, walk around, mill about, be festive, be participatory, but not more than that. The second thing you definitely want to be aware of is to try to stay away from that individual in the office, and every office has one, that likes to bend the rules a little bit. The one who likes to make
That might be me, though.
There's always one.
The individual who likes to make the off-color jokes or makes the inappropriate comments. You really want to stay away from the wolf in sheep's clothing. That individual, you want to kind of stay away clear from them. Try not to engage in those conversations. If you find yourself in the uncomfortable position of being on the receiving end of one of those things, excusing yourself away or otherwise saying, hey, that really wasn't appropriate, or just even asking something like, what did you mean by that, is really a good clue to let the other person know that perhaps what they said wasn't really nice. Finally, if something should happen, something that makes you feel inappropriate, you should really try to document it in some way. Text it to yourself, text a friend, a family member, so that you have a quick and ready recollection of what happened, and of course, contact HR.
And that's where you come in, because you receive, I'm sure, a lot of cases, and you have to really fight for your clients who have come to you with office party situations or incidents.
It's actually quite popular that during the holiday season that we have an increase of sexual harassment cases that come out of the holiday season. People are away from the office, alcohol is about, and people think that it's a party. You know, there's a number of steps that even employers can take to try to make the environment a little bit more controlled. The whole point of the office party, right, is to keep morale up, to celebrate, you know, the ending of the new year and the like. But, you know, employers also can take a lot of steps to make sure that that environment is safe for their employees. One of the things that they can do definitely is to set appropriate boundaries, a definitive start time and a definitive end time. A lot of our sexual harassment cases from office parties happens after hours. It's when everybody starts to go home and perhaps a manager who has the company card starts buying more drinks even after the party's closed out. So as an employer, you would really want to discourage that kind of activity. You also want to try to limit the environment by, you know, providing rides for, you know, people to get home, where people can get reimbursed for taxis or Ubers or anything like that.
That's very smart.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then finally, you know, a lot of the times that people are not really aware of what the anti-discrimination or anti-harassment policy is of the corporation. Everybody goes through it during orientation. You get a stack of documents that are this thick for you to sign, but the end of the year is a great time for employers to remind people that although this is a holiday season and although we're doing a festive gathering, that you really want to make sure that you adhere to these policies because they're still in effect.
You have to stay on your P's and Q's outside of the office. And
absolutely.
It's a matter of judgment.
It is really a matter of judgment. Each office environment is different. What may be okay if you work in a, you know, white shoe law firm would be very different if you worked in a bar. But at the same time, the work environment still has to be safe. So even if, you may be more jovial if you work in a, service industry or a retail industry, people still don't want to be, offended or taken advantage of or anything like that. So while it is an issue of judgment and also an issue of relationship, right? So if you and I are close and and my intentions, perhaps you would accept something from me that you wouldn't from the other. But it's really better to be on the safer side than the sorry side. And just, it's okay to say to a coworker, is this okay? Or are you okay with what I just said? And just check in to make sure everybody's comfortable.
I'm just so sad that most workplaces have become like that. And it's like people of course, we have a lot of lamentable workplace culture that needs to change, especially in the area of harassment and discrimination. And that's still a major problem.
Sure.
But the flip side of that is that we've turned into a very ugly environment in most workplaces where people are afraid to say absolutely anything. And I think it's very hard to figure out what that line should be. And I think that depends on individual interpretation.
Well, some of it is individual interpretation and other of it is objective. Like any relationship, whether it's a personal relationship or a work relationship, as we learn each other and we learn the things that may offend or the type of personality that you have, we can get certain clues as to the type of persons that you're engaging with. And if we do not have any issues and and we have a good relationship, there's nothing to say that you can't share an innocent joke, so long as it's really innocent. And for the most part, most people have that gut and that inner feeling. Of
course, we all do.
As to when something is an innocent joke and really when it's meant to be offensive. And even if it's something that was offensive in the moment, if the person apologizes and is sincere, usually that's the end of the issue. We're talking about the more extreme cases where the person knows that they're being obnoxious and they're being, insensitive and offensive for offense sake. And there are individuals who are like that, who like to test the limits. And those are the individuals, unfortunately, for which policies and procedures and the likes of this exist, so that those boundaries can be created by the workplace and everybody can feel safe and jovial and can enjoy a good joke without it being an issue.
So speaking of boundaries, Marie Johnson is asking, can you hook up at holiday or office parties?
Well, whether or not a hookup is a good idea is really within the boundaries and the good judgment of the two people who are hooking up.
Oh my goodness, that's a very lawyerly
office romance. Office romance.
Well, consent is the key to everything, right?
Of course.
So if I make a joke and you're okay with it and I'm okay with it and we're the only two in the room, there's no harm, right? So that would be okay. So in a hookup type of situation, it all depends on consent. One of the things you definitely want to be careful about, though, is any sort of anti-fraternization policy that an organization
that exists in many organizations.
Exactly. And usually these anti-fraternization policies is a prohibition against hooking up, specifically if the individuals are in different levels of power. For example, a manager and a subordinate. And more importantly, if it's a manager and a subordinate that is in the direct line.
And, that's something that's missing a lot of times from harassment, because even if you are consenting, there's a power dynamic there. And that's very problematic.
Yes, it is. And that's why sexual harassment is such a nuanced area. And that's why like anything, there are different levels and different severities of sexual harassment that it can exist in a workplace, and why it's a good idea that if you ever need help in that area, that you get an attorney who's experienced in prosecuting sexual harassment cases and specifically has the experience to deal with these type of matters.
Well, this is very insightful. Thank you so much, Marjorie.
Yeah, Marjorie, thanks for a lot of the insight. I love how lawyers have answers for everything.
Yeah, just to learn the legal perspective about office party protocol. Thank you, Marjorie.
Thank you.
It's great having you.
So anyway, moving on from that, from holiday shopping deals to Christmas party do's and don'ts, we're going to talk more about that. Yeah. We're happy to welcome Jackie and Shaun Rodgers, co-founders of Greentop Gifts, on Skype to discuss their breakthrough into, get this, the gift wrapping industry, something very apropos at this moment.
Welcome, Jackie and Shaun.
Hi, how are y'all today?
So great to finally meet you, and congrats on your newborn.
Thank you.
How was life with no sleep?
Can you see the bags under our eyes?
You used some great concealer, Jackie.
Let's see that. Let's see
Here's
that
a wrapping
gift
paper.
wrapping.
All right, so just tell us why your gift wrapping stands out. Here's some examples of it. Stands out for most that's on the market.
Yeah, so I wanted something for my son that showed representation, and I wanted a stance that looked like our family. And it stands out because there aren't a lot of options with the African American Santa Claus, and so it's just really important for us to have images that reflect our son and our family, and it's very different and unique.
Yeah, when we imagine Santa, we always imagine like a waspy, North Pole dwelling Santa. So, do you think that's going to change over time? Is it going to be are we going to have this idea that Santa can manifest himself in, a more ethnically diverse body, Asian Santa, Hispanic Santa, etc.?
Of course. I think that's the magic of Santa and Christmas is for there to be whatever a child wants him to be, or how, that idea, they can imagine him to be anything. So I think it's important for them to see them how they want him to be.
So I wanted to understand the name of this is Clarence Claus, correct?
Yes.
How did you come up with that name, Clarence Claus?
It's an old person name for sure.
It is. We'll share responsibility on the name. So we knew we wanted sort of a double C when we came up with the name, and Jackie's father's name was actually Clarence. So I started joking around and said, we should call him Clarence. It should be Clarence Claus.
So appropriate.
I knew it was a family member.
I think I have a Clarence in my family. I think it's like a tradition. But I'm just curious to know, what are your thoughts about the competitors, like Papyrus, Hallmark? How are you able to really stand out in this heavily saturated market?
They don't play in this market. When I was coming up with this idea and I was looking for it, I'm a stationery snob. I shopped at all those locations and looked for paper and couldn't find any that reflected our family. And so it was really important for me that I found an image that looked like us. And so they don't play in that space. And so that's where we're different.
So how did you figure out, because one of the things about being an entrepreneur, it's great, you have an idea, this Black Santa motif. How did you go from an idea to an actual, creation?
So I told my husband I wanted to do it, and I said, I'm going to just go to Kinko's, or I'll get on Photoshop and I'll print it and create it. And then I started reaching out to friends and kind of did some focus groups to see if other people had an interest in it, and reached out to some manufacturers and understand how the business worked. And then I came to my husband and I said, they can deliver 4 pallets of paper to our garage, and I think I'm ready to pull the trigger. And he was like, oh, you're serious?
Yeah, I think one of the things to highlight there is she did a lot of research and she asked a lot of questions. And in terms of actually getting the paper produced, she would not take no for an answer. So she called a few manufacturers. Some told her no, but she just persisted and was determined to get it done. And she really did the homework up front to make it happen.
Well, I also will say that I learned about your product through the Ludholts, Janissa and her husband, Jared. So we share mutual friends, and I learned about it through social media. So how has social media really helped you to market your product?
Social media was very influential in the first year for us. We did a video that kind of told the story of the creation of our company and the story behind our family and our start in entrepreneurship. And that kind of, I don't want to say went viral, but it got a lot of views on Facebook, and it kind of just, people shared it and highlighted it. And that's kind of how people came to know about Greentop gifts.
Mm-hmm. So cool. So let's say you had to do this all over again, and you had another idea and you were trying to break into the gift wrapping business. What tips would you give other entrepreneurs?
Tips that I would give. I feel like ideas have expiration dates. So
that's great advice. Yeah.
When you have an idea, you want to execute it, but it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Some people have an idea and they wait and they don't want to start it or they want to launch it because it's not perfect. So I think it's really important for entrepreneurs when you have an idea to just try. You want to make sure it's right within some relevant reason, but you want to just try and get it out into the market, and I think that's really important. So I would say that would be my first one. What would you say, Shaun?
I think that's spot on. Entrepreneurs do, right? That's the big thing in being an entrepreneur. You have to do it. And we've talked to a lot of people who they have wonderful ideas and they just never actually do it. So I think that's the biggest piece, is taking that first step. I think the old saying is the toughest part of a 1,000-mile journey is the first step. So I think a lot of people just have to take that first step, and then the rest is sort of what will fall into place, in my opinion.
So how are you juggling this, parents, 2 kids, this growing business? Like, how do you juggle, and what's your key for balance?
I would say we have an amazing support system. We have both of our families live close by, and they help us. We have a great village, I'll put it that way. And they definitely helping us with our children, or filling in and daycare, or when we have to travel for business. So that's key for us. I would say that they're a huge part for us. And knowing how to work with your spouse, because when you're working with your spouse.
That was our next question. Yes. My parents have worked with each other for 38 years or 39 years. Impressive. What's your secret?
Wow. I would say learning how the other one communicates. I like to rattle off 20 questions at 7 a.m. and he likes to rattle off 20 questions at 10 p.m.
So just knowing that flow.
And I think it's also just like any job, right? I think we've done a pretty good job of setting roles and responsibilities so that we're not overlapping too much within the business. So she knows what she's responsible for. I know what I'm responsible for. And we sort of work that way and hold each other accountable. And that allows us to still have our space, even though we're working together.
Well, you guys don't look tired at all. No, so I don't know about refreshed. All these children or this one child that's wearing you out. It seems like you're doing it all great.
Yeah, this is fabulous. I'm definitely going to send some of this home to my family in Texas. So it was so great meeting the both of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to Jackie and Shaun. Greentop Gifts. Check them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, if you're always on the go and in need of professionally whitened teeth, ding, in the comfort of your own living room, hotel, or office, our next guest, Diana G., founder and managing director of Smiles Delivered, can have you shining bright just in time for the new year.
So, Diana, I drink way too many cappuccinos. What should I do?
Come get a teeth whitening with us, of course. We're very passionate about oral care and personal self-care, so we want to be able to bring out this service to everyone and at their own convenience and their own comfort.
So how does it work?
Yeah, and how did you come up with the idea of portable dental services?
So I myself am a hygienist, and I've been doing this for many years, and a lot of my patients who have missed their appointments tell me the same thing. I'm busy, I have work meetings that come up, the cost, and there's no perceived need. So with all this technology and digital x-rays, portable sensors, portable x-ray machine, we're able to bring this service in one suitcase, and we're able to travel with that anywhere. So yes, that's how we provide it.
I'm sure there's a great demand for that service. You don't have to leave. You could just really stay in your pajamas and you're getting your teeth whitened or get that uncomfortable cleaning that we all dread every 6 months.
A lot of these patients, when we go to their office or their home, they're relaxed. They're sometimes sleeping. They fall asleep in the middle of their whitenings. We give them headsets so they can listen to music, play their own playlist. And at the end of that, we refer them to the offices if they do need further dental work. So we do all that cleaning, checkup, x-rays, and whitenings.
At their home.
At their home, yes.
That sounds so much more comfortable, especially since I am one of those people who sweats profusely at the dentist.
I love going.
Yeah, that's because you didn't have a lot of cavities.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm like dumpster mouth here. So the dentist makes me nervous.
Yeah, for sure. And especially in Manhattan, we all very busy. We work a lot. And being able to go to the dentist is very difficult for us, waiting, traveling. So we're able to provide dental days in offices and companies where we are seeing patients at their conference room. We set up a private dental suite for the day, and they're able to just come right in, see them. They get all the perks, the company perks, and also just a better production, work environment, and better employee satisfaction.
We should talk to our bold founder about
I could definitely use mobile dentistry. So in terms of whitening and the services you guys provide, what differentiates it from like a white strip I could get at the pharmacy?
Right. So we have professional grade whitening products. So they're at about 40% hydrogen peroxide, which is the whitening ingredient. Over the counter, you'll probably receive about 10% to 12% hydrogen peroxide, so you're getting a very low dosage. You'll still have to do more treatments to see a result. Our results are instant. Within an hour, you'll see probably 4 to 8 shades whiter. So it's really great for people who are on the go, who have a special event coming up, and they need a quick whitening session, and it's minimal sensitivity. So that's what I love about it. My patients never complain.
How often do you whiten? Because your teeth look really good.
I love to whiten my teeth. I also try to avoid coffee. I know it's really tough, but I whiten.
I can't do that. I'm out.
Even red wine, that tends to stain too, right?
Exactly. I have to drink through a straw sometimes to prevent that. But I maintain with whitenings. I could do it every few months just to keep my teeth white. But yes, it's totally safe,
Talk to us about the advances of technology in the digital world in terms of dental care. I know you have your finger on the pulse of the industry, so talk to us about technology.
Yeah, so it's come a long way. Like x-rays, for example. We used to do those uncomfortable x-ray sensors that cuts into the mouth.
I can't stand those.
And it would take forever to develop. Sometimes you lose the films in the middle of developing them. They'll get lost in the rollers. We have digital sensors now that go right to our laptop with a 5-pound portable x-ray machine. So we're able to take the x-rays right there. Within a second, we see results. We're able to diagnose on the spot. And then also the digital sensors are 80% less radiation. So you're getting less radiation. It's safer. And then also with our new technology, we have portable equipment that's much more smaller, compact, easier to travel and transport.
Makes your job much easier.
So much easier.
And then you also are able to deliver results to your patients, as on the spot, as opposed to waiting for results from x-rays.
It's instant satisfaction. Yes.
So let's talk about, we have an audience question. Isn't whitening bad for enamel?
Okay, so I get that question a lot. I do it obviously a lot, and I know the safety behind it. So the hydrogen peroxide temporarily opens the pores of the enamel in order to bleach the enamel, but within 2 days, the enamel does close back up. Okay. So there's a temporary sensation of sensitivity sometimes people receive. However, you want to talk about what's worse for your teeth is the soda, the orange juice, the acids that we're eating during the day, the lemon in the water. Those could be more harming to your teeth over long periods of time. So
it's not good, but there are things that are much worse.
Of course. You don't want to overdo the whitening, but at the same time, it's a temporary sensitivity, and it goes back, your enamel goes back to normal
So
state.
when you whiten or when you invest in whitening, you have to be careful those first 2 days as to what you ingest.
So we give people post-op instructions, what to avoid, certain foods you want to avoid for the first 2 days. So this brings out better results, and people are more happy, satisfied with their white teeth.
I have a question. I have sensitivity in my teeth, and I use Sensodyne, but it's Sensodyne with whitening. So that's, I assume, is pretty safe.
It's safe. It's very low, a dose of whitening, hydrogen peroxide. You probably have to do a lot of brushing with that. You probably won't see too much results. If you really want an instant result, you have to actually go do the professional whitening products and whitening services. But there are sensitive toothpastes that are out there that are great that can help complement the whitening sessions if you do get sensitivity. So I do give patients Sensodyne with whitening to complement it.
I love it.
So it's a good idea to have whitening toothpaste.
Yes, it helps, but you're not going to see a result like whitening services.
Yeah.
Right.
So with Smiles Delivered, how many people are on your team? Because I know you don't do this by yourself. How many?
Yeah, we have a team of dentists that travel with us. I myself am a hygienist as well, so I'm able to do some of the services.
You still clean?
I love to clean teeth.
We're going to sign up.
Yes, it's my passion. I love to promote oral care. I think there's a strong oral systemic link, so I love to promote and educate my patients. But I also like to...
this determines everything.
Exactly. This is the entryway to the rest of our body. There's a strong link. So I like to educate, but also be able to practice what I preach and, provide that service to a larger group of people.
Well, drinking red wine out of a straw, you are inspiring all of us.
Right.
Where do you see this industry heading?
There's a lot of on-demand services. It's on the rise. You have car services, food delivery services, massages, masseuses, and mani-pedis that are coming to your house or coming to your offices. So we want to bring dental services also portable and easy for everyone to receive. So I think there's an increase in on-demand services, especially in healthcare.
Is it can I book this service like as I'm like calling an Uber, right? How far in advance do we have to schedule an appointment?
You can schedule literally a day or two ahead of time. As long as a doctor is available for you, we're able to bring their equipment, come right over, set it up, break it down, and then we're out. Yeah.
Smiles delivered. This is such a cool concept.
Absolutely.
Well, Diana, we appreciate you coming
so much for having
We're
me.
definitely going to, I think we're both going to sign up for
we're
the
gonna
white
push
dance.
for that at work.
We'll set it up right here.
Right here in the Bowl studio.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Diana.
So we're going to have a whitening session.
We're going to have a whitening section.
So our next segment is our Bookster segment. Bookster, of course, is a website for book lovers and much more. Michelle Gadsden-Williams, Managing Director of Inclusion and Diversity at North America Accenture, a company you might have heard of, they're very large, is here to discuss her book, Climb, Taking Every Step with Conviction, Courage, and Calculated Risk to Achieve a Thriving Career and a Successful Life.
Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you for having me. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday and happy holidays. So tell us how you made the big climb.
Wow. I started my career in corporate America over 30 years ago. And my father is a retired executive, my mother an entrepreneur, so I had two role models at home.
Man, you were born into the right family.
I know, right? And so I had two role models at home who really showed me what was possible. And so graduated with a degree in marketing. My graduate degree is in organizational development and dynamics. So human behavior was of interest to me. I started my career in marketing, determined that was not what I wanted to do. And so I made a pivot, went left, and decided that HR and strategic planning was the way to go.
I mean, there are not enough HR professionals in the world. So
not in my view. Yeah, so you're right. You're right.
Well, how did you determine, okay, you said marketing was not your thing,
no,
but you knew you were a people person.
Exactly.
So that pivot made sense for you.
It did. It did. Sometimes you have to make that self-assessment and be honest with yourself in determining, so what is it that is going to ignite that spark in you? Especially, we're all going to be working, at least most of us, will be working a long time. You have to love what you do.
I'm retiring at 50. I don't know about you. But
I don't know what plan you're on, but I want in. So let's talk about the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. We hear a lot about mentorship, and I feel like I have mentees, but I'm not sure. Educate me the difference between a mentor and a sponsor.
Sure. Well, you need both in my view. So I'm going to give you a sports analogy. I enjoy sports. Okay. A mentor is your personal trainer. So that's the person that's helping you to get the lay of the land, to flex those capabilities and all of those things that you need to in order to be bigger, better, bolder, faster every single day. A sponsor, however, that is your sports agent. Mm-hmm. That is the person that's sitting at the table, negotiating for you, advocating for you, championing for you, so that when those decisions are being made, at least you have someone in that room who is carrying your bucket of water.
That's a great analogy, easily understood, especially for TV people. We channel in agents, of course.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So who would you say you currently have both a mentor and sponsor in your life who really helped you to make your big climb?
Yes, I do. Several. Alex Gorski, who's the chairman and CEO of Johnson & Johnson.
No big deal.
No, I know.
I used to work for Alex. I was his chief diversity officer during his days at Novartis. Thomas Ebeling in Europe. He's the president and CEO of ProSiebenSat, which is the NBC television for Europe. I would be remiss if I did not say that the successes that I've had were due in large part to the mentor-sponsorship relationships that I've cultivated over the years.
So let's talk about diversity and inclusion, because something that's often left on the table is, why is it important?
Yes.
Like, why does this even matter? Shouldn't you just hire the best people?
Yeah, ultimately, that's what you want to do. But what you're doing is broadening the talent pool to choose from. Most organizations these days, I'd say even the top Fortune 500 has a chief diversity officer or someone that is their sole responsibility to ensure that there's equity, fairness, in the process of hiring, recruiting, retention, promotions, all of it, advancement. So we're basically just making sure that all of those things happen to ensure that everyone has a seat at the table or can at least aspire to have that seat at the table.
And speaking of seat at the table, Michelle, you have a company, Ceiling Breakers, LLC.
Yes.
It's designed to help women and professionals of color to reach their potential. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So it's a consulting practice that I started when I moved back from Switzerland. I lived overseas for many years, and my husband and I moved back in 2015, and we decided, let's consider entrepreneurial ventures, and that was one of them. So we decided to open a practice that was focused specifically on women and people of color, and that would help them to just be better professionals, just building on certain skill sets and tools and building their own professional toolkit in a more meaningful kind of way. So we do executive coaching, working with major corporations on their diversity and inclusion strategies and so forth. So, yeah.
So this is really interesting. You talk about in the book how you managed this climb with an illness.
Yes, I have lupus. Systemic lupus erythematosus is the formal term, but lupus is what I have, and I was diagnosed in 2006. And this is now my new normal. It's an autoimmune illness that disproportionately impacts women and people of color. It's, this has really changed my life in a lot of different ways where I've been able to reprioritize things. A career is great, but if you don't have your health, you can't aspire to those.
Block of
exactly, exactly. So it's been a journey, but I'm well.
Do you feel good?
Yes, I've been in remission for a few years, and I have a wellness coach, AJ Johnson. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Baby Boy or House Party.
AJ Zone is her.
Exactly. Yes. So she's my wellness coach, and she has been for many years, and I've been in remission. So she's saved my life.
You take better care of yourself because you have lupus,
I do.
don't you?
I do.
You eat well. You exercise.
Eat well, exercise, all of it.
Sleep.
Well, that's still a challenge, but we're working on it.
Is there time for sleep during the climb, Michelle?
There should be. I got to get better at
that. I was just thinking about sleep. What is that these days?
I sleep. That's my secret, by the way. I always sleep.
It
doesn't matter how stressed out I am, even when I worked in local television and they were hounding me to do this and that. No, 8 hours. I'm one of those people that if I don't sleep 8 hours, I'm a mess.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can thrive on 3-4 hours.
You are an inspiration to all of us.
No, either that or crazy. I don't know.
That's how there's more hours in the day. That's how she achieved the climb. I'm not climbing as fast because there's not as many hours in my day.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, Michelle, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so
much for talking about the big climb, inspiring us to take care of ourselves. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't help others.
That's right.
That's ultimately what it's about. Right. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks. So everyone wants to give a TED Talk, right? But what does it actually take to secure one? Tricia, Brouk, executive director and producer of The Speaking Salon, is here to discuss her secrets to getting and nailing a TED Talk.
We want to know the secrets. Welcome, Tricia.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
And thanks for connecting with me on LinkedIn. You're ahead of the game there.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how she knows.
Communication.
To the TEDx Talks.
That's great.
Communication starts early.
So we want to know the tips for business professionals who are looking to land that TEDx Talk.
I think there's 3 things that are really important: credibility, vulnerability, and relatability.
All the abilities.
All the abilities. So
10,000 hours, letters after your name, your area of expertise. So if you've lived this, that makes you the expert. Those are your 10,000 hours. Being relatable means starting with a story. Talking about something that you can share with us that makes us relate to you as a human being. And then vulnerability, open chest, open heart, eye contact, smiling. So those are the 3 things that you really want to lead with when it comes to speaking and getting your message out there. And being a professional in terms of having people directly relate to your business. Pitching is not necessarily how you want to get people to your website or to your business. It's inspiring them. It's being your authentic self and turning them on so that they want to search for you.
Do you necessarily have to be an author? I see that a lot of authors are able to land TEDx Talks because they have a tool and something to talk about. But do you have to be an author or a writer?
I love this question, Lyndsay, because does the chicken or the egg come first, right? Is it the book or the big talk?
Yeah.
And it's sort of up to you. If you have a book, you can certainly apply to be a TED speaker. If you are looking to be a TED or a TEDx speaker, that crown you wear will certainly open some doors in terms of publishers and getting your book out there. So it's really up to you, but you do not have to A, be a speaker, or B, have a book or be an author to actually apply for a TEDx at all.
Okay, you know what's funny is we had a guest here and he goes, I'm famous for giving the TEDx talk called the Lollipop Moment. And I told him, I know exactly who you are. The power of storytelling amidst the bombardment in media that I, experience every day, ourselves included. I remembered his story from TEDx.
Fantastic. I don't remember that one.
I do, for some reason.
But it's amazing because each TEDx, each big talk affects us differently and individually. So that's why public speaking is so important, because you can speak to one person and that person might share your message with a bunch of people, and all of a sudden you have this ripple effect, and your message and your very important idea affects a lot of people at once.
What's the difference between the platforms, TED and then TEDx? Is it TEDx, a much smaller platform, stage, if you will?
TEDx is an independently organized event under the umbrella of TED.
Okay.
What does that mean, independently organized?
It means if we are not good, they take no responsibility.
Wow.
Okay.
There is no seal of there's no good housekeeping seal of approval on this.
So there are a lot of rules and guidelines. The brand does a lot to help us. They're super supportive in terms of TEDx organizers, but it is an independently organized event. So I tell all of my speakers, vet the organizers. You want to make sure that they know how to produce a show. You want to make sure that the camera work, the lighting, and the sound engineer is good. It's super important because you work for months. You give birth to a talk, and that talk is going to live on YouTube forever. So you want to make sure that you're working with a very seasoned producer and a really good TEDx organizer.
They are usually really good, so it really does take a lot of practice. I just assumed these were gifted individuals.
In terms of producers or talks?
Talks.
They take a lot of, you work on the idea, you work on crafting, it's an art form, and then you work on the delivery. And the rehearsal is equally as important as the writing.
Practice makes perfect. You've heard a lot of talks, I'm sure, in your career. Tricia, what's the difference between a good talk and a bad talk?
Okay.
That's a good question, Lyndsay.
You never want to apologize from the stage ever. If something goes wrong, wait. Someone will fix it, make a joke about it, stay open, and that goes back to the vulnerability and the relatability. You also never want to do air quotes. How many times have you seen speakers, I'm going to the other room?
I did it too.
I would encourage you to stop doing air quotes. And never mistake anger for passion. If you're really passionate about global warming, which we should be, which I hope we can be, it's important to share that information and to communicate it passionately so that we're inspired by that. If you're angry about it, we stop listening. So those are three things that you can really encourage yourself to stop doing and eliminate from your their platform. What is always good to do is accept the gift from the audience before you give them yours. They're giving you their time and their attention, so accept that gift and then give them your gift of your idea. And make eye contact, make sure you're open with your heart, and really trust that you have done the work so that you can communicate the idea that you need to that audience.
So Lyndsay and I are crazy extroverts. Like, we can talk to anyone. We'll talk to the old man on the corner after we leave here and ask him how his day's going. But let's say you're an introvert. You don't really get your energy from people. What advice do you have for introverts who aspire to give a TEDx talk?
I love this question, David, because I'm an introvert. So
we would never know.
We would never know that.
The preparation is everything. Understand who you are. Do you need to meditate? Do you need to do jumping jacks? Do you need to have really loud music in your earbuds? Know who you are and what your preparation needs so that when you walk out onto that stage or onto that set, you can be fully present and deliver the message. And once you get out of your own head and, oh my God, what if I'm terrible? What if I faint? What if I spill something? That has to go away so that you can communicate clearly with your message, because that's what's important. You're going to change people with your idea.
Would you consider, or would you say that approaching a TED Talk is almost like acting, right? You kind of go into character in a sense?
Good question. Not necessarily in terms of public speaking. However, you do want to turn on, and you do want to understand the technique of being captivating. So just like Broadway actors, they have 8 shows a week. They don't always feel great. They might feel tired. They might be worried about their kids. They might have had an argument with somebody. You have to understand the technique of performing, and that directly relates to public speaking, and that's called objective and action. You always want to know what your objective is so that you can use an action to get it. So simply put, if you want your kids to go to bed, that's the objective. How are you going to get them to do it? That's the action. Bribe, beg, sweet talk. So you understand you want something from the audience. I want them to donate to a worthy cause. I want them to buy my book. I want them to adopt my idea as their own. That's your objective. You have to relentlessly go after that the entire time by inspiring, motivating, educating. So that's the sort of thing that keeps you focused, authentic, and having the conversation, which is sort of like what you were saying is acting.
Very helpful.
Tricia.
Tricia, this has been extremely helpful.
Fantastic. I think I'm trying to internalize a lot of this for
I'm
myself.
really interested in
Awesome.
considering offering a TED. I'll start with TEDx.
Put it out there.
I'm gonna put it out there.
You just did.
With your support.
Yes, you've got it.
Tricia, thanks for taking the time to stop by.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So anyway, speaking of advancing your career, are you entrepreneurish?
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I am. We're about to find out. Our final guest, Amina AlTai, a health business advisor, is here to share her unique methods to help entrepreneurs maintain their health during their grind.
Welcome, Amina.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So what are some tips we can activate to stay healthy during and after business hours?
That's such a great question. And when I think about the term entrepreneurish, it's really about being nourished in all areas of our lives because it helps us show up fully for work and for life, right? So it's everything from making really great decisions from what we put in our bodies to the people that we spend time with. Because, how many times have you been at an event or hanging out with people and their energy weighs you down? And that impacts how you show up for work and for life too. So it's really everything from being choiceful from the foods that we're eating to having breath work as a practice or meditation, moments for grounding, as well as being really choiceful about where you share your energy.
I was talking about sleep earlier with one of our guests. Is sleep important?
Sleep is so important. That's one of my non-negotiables too.
Me too.
You have.
I was just saying
I have
that.
to get some at least 6 hours. Give me 6.
Oh, I'm an 8-hour woman.
That's
I'm
great.
an 8-hour man. We have that in common.
Kinship.
At less than 8 hours and I'm a mess. It's like hashtag hot mess.
Agreed.
I can't write. I can't speak. I can't function. I can't manage. I can't make up ideas. I can't do anything.
I'm with you. Can't walk, keep my eyes open, none of it.
Walk and chew gum, etc.
So the challenge with entrepreneurship obviously is creating your own hours and kind of working through this sense that you have flexibility with your time. But how important is it to really stick to a schedule that you've created and asking your friends and family to support that? Right, so they're honoring your time, whether your hours are 10 to 6 or midnight to 8 a.m., how important is that, just honoring your schedule, sticking to a system as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, great question. Everyone is so different. There are people that really thrive with strong boundaries and schedules, and there are people that need a little more flexibility, right? So when I work with people one-on-one, I encourage them to design it in a way that's most powerful for them so they can show up fully, they can feel really good in the work. And for some people, it means, yes, I need this schedule and I need an accountability partner. And for other people, it's, no, I can't force myself, I can't put myself in the box, I need to be authentic and move myself when the moment strikes. So it's really about understanding who you are as an individual, how you work best, and then pulling in the right structure for your personality and work ethic.
So is part of being entrepreneurish looking good? I see here you worked for Cartier and Vera Wang, like no big deal. Is looking good part of that?
I totally believe that looking good is part of feeling good, right? Not for everybody, right? For some people that doesn't matter as much. But
all those bros in Silicon Valley really don't care.
The ones that have the templated outfits and they just put on the hoodie every day. Exactly. No, but for a lot of us, how we look on the outside, being seen is really important, and it makes us feel like we're connected to our purpose and to everybody around us. So it is really important. From where I stand, being seen, feeling really good in how I look is important.
How was it working at doing marketing campaigns for Cartier? I love their watches. And Vera Wang. No big deal, right, Lyndsay?
Yeah, and you also work with Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, Samsung. You're working with some major companies.
Yeah, so that's actually how I arrived at my work. So Cartier was one of my first jobs, and it's an incredible institution where they do everything so beautifully. It's a lesson in excellence working there. And after I worked at Cartier, I went on to co-found a marketing agency with a partner of mine, and I was working with emerging entrepreneurs and startups, and what I found was that founders aren't necessarily always having the appropriate skill set to be thrust into the CEO role. And so oftentimes they sacrifice sleep or boundaries or their mental health to basically get their business out in the world. And that's actually what helped me arrive at this teaching. So I would say all those companies that I got to work with, really just a lesson in excellence and really getting to understand how to connect with the consumer consumer and people, and then being able to take that into my agency with the entrepreneurs, and then my latest body of work with Entrepreneurs, being able to support them in their own thriving businesses.
So taking a little bit of each of those experiences, pouring them into your own work. Okay.
So let's talk about Intrapreneurs, because a lot of times now big companies give a slice of their business to someone who wants to take control of it. Do you deal with people like that?
Absolutely. So that's a large piece of my work too. So I will work within organizations supporting intrapreneurs. And so much of it is leveraging practices that we use in entrepreneurship, but within the context of the organization. So what feels really good for you in your role? What feels really good for you based on your skill set and where you thrive? And then how do we help you step into that zone of genius, moving from that zone of excellence into a space that you feel really empowered, and then you feel this ripple effect in the organization, and everyone around you is lit up as well. So it's really about helping people connect with their gifts, their truth within the organization, and then everyone around them is so lit up, and it's just ripple effect out into the world.
Ripple effect. We appreciate your insights. Thank you so much.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to us
during this holiday season. All right. So, well, that's the end of today's show. It went by so fast. Thank you so much.
It always goes by fast.
It does. Time flies when you're having fun.
Of course.
We really appreciate you being with us and tuning in. We are taking a holiday break. Christmas is Tuesday, but we'll be back Friday, January 4th.
Of course, if you're looking for a fun Christmas activity to enjoy with your family and friends here in New York City, grab a front row seat at Ruben and Clay's first annual Christmas Carol Family Fun Pageant Spectacular Reunion Show. Wow, that is a long title.
Team Bold stopped by the Broadway debut last Saturday. I hear it's a fantastic show. I think we have a visual or picture. There it is. Team Bold and the Team Bold t-shirts.
And of course, Clay has been a friend of Bold and a co-anchor of our politics show since the beginning, and we are so proud of what he's doing out there on the big stage. So, but of course, sadly, this is the end. So don't forget to join us back here later today for Bold Life. That's in an hour. Our friend, the always glamorous and interesting Diana Falzone will be here to join us.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.